Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com. Welcome to the New Warehouse Podcast. Today's safety tip is brought to you by Kinetic, the wearable safety device that reduces workplace injuries by over 50%. Learn more at wearkinetic.com.
Hi, this is Matt Seltz of Zebra, and you're listening to the New Warehouse Podcast. Today's safety tip is docks are a very busy space with a lot of heavy equipment. Always stay a safe distance from high-lows. Even the slightest movements can be hazardous.
Starting March 28th, Modex 2022 lets you see what's coming and take advantage of it to power your supply chain with more possibilities for years to come. With 850 exhibitors and education sessions, Modex 2022 is where you'll find the more of everything. From illuminating education to next-generation technology and equipment in action, to the latest equipment and system solutions for your supply chain needs. Visit modexshow.com and join us March 28th to 31st, 2022.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. How do you create warehouse superheroes? The answer is simple. With visual voice scan solutions from ProCensus. With record demand and labor shortages, warehouses need more effective workers and lightning-fast onboarding. Visual voice scan solutions from ProCensus enable warehouse workers to achieve superhero performance with up to 20% improved productivity and up to 99% accuracy. Hands-free barcode scanners from ProGlove paired with wearable mobile computers is just the beginning. Improved mobile interfaces with reduced keystrokes, easy-to-read screens, custom keyboards, voice-enabled interface, and more can be realized with ease on the leading WMS platforms. Sound too good to be true? Let us show you with our one-of-a-kind virtual demo. Visit procensus.com to get started today. Again, that's procensus.com to get started.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. On today's episode, I am going to be joined by Matt Seltz. He is the Senior Director of Operation and Product Success for the Advanced Location Technologies Business Unit at Zebra Technologies. And we know Zebra Technologies, they've been on the show quite a few times, also sponsor the show, so thank you to them. But Matt is going to talk to us today a little bit about kind of location-based technology, specifically RFID, and how it pertains to the warehousing space, and also how it's evolved over the past few years in terms of accessibility and just the technology overall. And we're also going to get to hear about Zebra's recently unveiled new portfolio of integrated RFID portals. So Matt's going to tell us all about that. I want to welcome Matt to the show. So Matt, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Definitely happy to have you on. Happy to have you on, talk about this topic. It's a pretty interesting topic. I've been seeing a lot more about RFID lately, so I'm interested to hear more from you as well. But before we get into that, why don't you give us a little brief overview of Zebra, just in case somebody's listening for the first time or maybe is not quite familiar with Zebra Technologies.
Well, Zebra Technologies, I think, we're known for bringing devices to the frontline workers and, really, helping people, hit those sense, analyze, and act, where basically we're bringing these mobile devices. Our printers are RFID, which brings, technology to the worker, and then obviously producing data that can help our customers and our partners solve, complicated use cases. And in my particular portion of Zebra around location technologies, where people need location events to help them improve their business workflows, that's what we do.
Okay. Very good. And Zebra is certainly, everywhere. I mean, you guys touch so many different businesses in so many different ways. And even especially with the pandemic, you talked about, getting things into the frontline workers' hands. And it's certainly been a big thing as we look at more mobile solutions that are, I guess, less touch points and faster in terms of e-commerce and retail checkout spaces. Definitely seeing you guys there. So definitely all over the place. But we're going to focus in on the RFID today. So before we kind of get a little more deeper into it, why don't you just kind of explain to the listeners what RFID is? And obviously it's a technology that's used in a lot of different ways, but tell us like kind of specifically how it really pertains to the warehouse and how it's involved in that space.
So, I mean, the radio frequency technology has been around for a while. There's, two flavors of it really that Zebra bring to market. There's active RFID, which is, tags that are battery operated and they are chirping out, I guess, if you will, information that's picked up by sensors. And today what we're really going to focus on is the passive side of things, where, you'll have things that are tagged and are energized by readers that are either mobile or fixed and, can more efficiently read multiple things, especially track assets, more automated and less manual than like a scanning or something that's done even more manually than that. So it's really to automate and kind of try to eliminate, if you will, some of the manual processes that happen in a workflow, and then also, error-proof some of the workflows as well.
Definitely, and it's certainly something that I think it increases the traceability of your products and your inventory as well. So, when you talk about, I guess, how it's active and passive, all these different types of things, RFID, as you mentioned, has been around for quite a while, but, obviously the technology has evolved somewhat. And I think that, when I first kind of started the podcast a while back, I think learning about RFID is something that I never got to really utilize in my career in the warehousing space hands-on. But, one of the barriers to entry kind of it was the affordability in a sense. So it seemed like for more higher items, like it was a better choice. But now for, I guess regular items like, I don't know, T-shirts or, socks or something like that, maybe not such a cost-effective move. But, how has RFID kind of evolved over the last few years, and how has the accessibility kind of improved as well?
I think over the last few years, it's really evolved as the technology has become, more stable and accepted. Really, performance used to be a thing as well as cost. I think both have improved. Okay. And the other thing is to really get kind of location, which is a lot of times key in the traceability kind of realm. You used to have to use an active technology to do that, and now we're the technology has improved where we're able to use passive RFID tags and still get pretty reliable location, which, that was one of the big barriers as you wanted to get that tag cost down if you're trying to tag these assets. And so I think as the technology has evolved and those different use cases have been solved because of the price point and the barrier to entry was high. And then the reliability has improved tremendously over the years. So I think that's really why we're seeing the adoption rate, increase. And then the affordability is, allowing, manufacturers to source tag, which having things tagged is kind of key to solving a lot of these use cases.
Very interesting, and it's a good point there about the reliability as well, and kind of I think the distance right at which you can read is an important thing too as well. So if we kind of for people that haven't utilized RFID or been exposed to it in the warehouse type of space, if you think about the racking going up to potentially a 40-foot ceiling in a warehouse. I mean, how accurate is RFID at that type of distance? Like if you're on the floor, are you able to get a sense and read that item that's all the way on the top there?
So, I mean, obviously the different devices have improved. We're getting greater read ranges with the mobile devices. And I think a lot of things that are happening now, if move to mobile, for kind of inventory tracking has been adopted for a while. And I think now that coming out of the pandemic, when the labor force is a little strained as well, people are looking more and more to fixed location as well to try to capture some of these things where they can kind of, when they don't have the workers available to even hold those handhelds. So, we're seeing a lot more of that kind of adoption to try to automate, certain, processes that the manufacturers and the warehouse used to use very manually. And now we're able to see that we can reliably automate those at dock doors, for instance, automate bill of ladings or receipts or air-proof things that are going on in the trucks. Those are the things that we're starting to see a lot more adoption of now, as the technology has improved and the workforce is changing.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched on a subject that we often touch on lately with the workforce and how it's kind of changing in the sense and, not having as many workers available in especially in the warehousing space and having a hard time kind of retaining them as well. So now if we look at RFID technology and you talked about, having someone available to carry those handheld sensors to be able to read the RFIDs and things like that. But moving towards more automation, I mean, what tasks are you essentially kind of improving upon and reducing the amount of labor hours that need to be assigned to that or allocating those resources to that? How are you helping to reduce that, and in what departments within the warehouse?
So I think we're seeing a lot of change in warehouse, right? So one of the things is, now the way people are purchasing, having inventory accuracy in different nodes of the supply chain are becoming more and more important. People are fulfilling orders from places that never were before, right? So that's kind of really changing and kind of putting a strain on the supply chain and in the warehouse. And now it's not just the warehouse, also is a lot of times now becoming a fulfillment center, right? Where they really need accurate inventory in a timely manner because they might be fulfilling something, where before it was kind of like, midstream in their supply chain. So one of the things that we're focused on that we've seen kind of an adoption of, in which our portals are really meant for, is automating these dock transactions. So, some of the challenges in the past for that were, bleed over and really being able to pinpoint the reads, at the dock door itself, so that you weren't picking up stray reads. The technology has evolved so that can be done. And, so now you're seeing things where you can automate these transactions, or you can error-proof these picks that they have to load onto trucks, where before that was, done very manually, either with scans or even, when they automated it with, a mobile RFID handheld. It still needed an operator. Now, we can really have seamless workflows where they're just moving those goods, and we're capturing the data of those transactions and error-proofing those shipments, and that's allowing people to fulfill and really, understand where their inventory is and get it in a very timely manner.
Yeah, really interesting point. And I love that you touched on the kind of the broader stroke, I guess, fulfillment is hitting now, and hitting several different kind of venues in a sense throughout the supply chain, and we're fulfilling from wherever we can to get the inventory. So we need better visibility and obviously better accuracy, as you touched on as well, is a huge thing. So you mentioned a couple times in there about improving things at the dock through the new portals, which Zebra kind of just recently came out with. And I heard, we're going to take it back a little bit, that you spent some time on the dock yourself in your career. So I'm interested if you could give us a little maybe contrast on, what was it like when you were on the dock and, not having this technology to utilize, and how does the portal kind of come into play on the dock now and really improve things that maybe were not as efficient back then?
So back in the day, back in the 90s when I was on, I think the only thing that's consistent is the thing that's consistent is the volume. We were busy then, and I think they're busy now. But yeah, when I was on those docks, we did everything manually. I mean, we didn't even have spreadsheets at the time, and a lot of cases we were, very very much writing things down. And your shippers, would be, you'd receive goods and put, a stack of papers in an office, and we might have unloaded something, put it away, and had it sitting there for, and sometimes a full day before someone entered those shippers into a system that anyone had visibility that the goods were even here, right? So we're on site. Today, when those things come off, they're tagged. Right when they come to the door, you can update your software. In many cases, the software now is an enterprise grade. So not only can people that are in the facility that they're working in see those goods that made it there, you can see it across your whole enterprise, wherever one's managing that supply chain. So, it's seamless, real-time data that's really helping people streamline their processes, right? And that's a huge difference between now and then. And so, what you compensated for back when I was doing the docks is, for all those inefficiencies, you had to have a lot more inventory, right? Make sure that your assembly lines were running. And so now you can be more just in time. And that, in the case of when I was doing it, it was a manufacturing process. And a lot of times what we're seeing now is it being utilized for, fulfilling orders for online transactions. But, kind of the work is the same as it relates to what the dock looks like, but you're so much more efficient, and you move so many more goods through, and you really handle the things that you really need for whatever process you're trying to complete.
Very interesting. And I like to hear about the history there, and it's interesting. I mean, no, not even a spreadsheet. I mean, wow, that's crazy. But
now we had spreadsheets, but I mean, we were, some of those processes were back, and people just, a lot of times they just, they did what they were comfortable with, right? So writing things down and passing it along was what they did.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, obviously, you can see the evolution that I think we've just taken in the warehouse industry in general. But obviously, this RFID technology, and I think at the dock door specifically, it's the Zebra Transition RFID portal. So I like the name the portal because at the dock door you're kind of entering into the abyss of the warehouse, right, or through the portal, I guess. So you mentioned kind of tagging the product there on the dock. So if the product is already tagged, maybe from the manufacturer or wherever you're receiving it from, now is the portal actually at the dock door, and as the product passes through, then it's automatically kind of captured as now being within the four walls?
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Correct. I mean, in some cases, the container itself is tagged, and that's what we're tracking. And in other cases, we're really tagging what the content is. It just depends on the process. But the uniqueness of the integrated portal is we've taken our fixed reader technology, which we've had out for quite some time, and marrying it with with an integrated portal that has a unique antenna, multilinear antenna with it. So what that combination allows us to do is really get very accurate reads, but with low power settings on the readers, right? So what that does is it really prevents a lot of that bleed over. A lot of times you have dock doors that are close to one another, and as you're moving those products in, in the past where you struggled was, hey, you picked up the read from the person that walked by with a container or with a package, or the high-low loading the truck next door, right? So what this really allows you to do is really only capture the things that move through the portal itself, the space of the portal, and we can capture it accurately. And another thing in the past was it was very difficult to implement these types of systems, right? So now, these integrated portals, they show up where, the warehouse that we're installing them, they're on a pallet, they're bolted to the floor, and really all you need to have prepared is a network drop. When you plug those in, you can get them on your network and configure them remotely in many cases. So it's seamless, and you can really replicate in a timely manner, and not affect the operations of the dock. A lot of times right now it's a difficult time to get a dock door, and you know what I mean, to get the space. Those dock doors are busy. They don't want to shut them down. So actually getting these portals installed quickly is also a big benefit.
Yeah, very interesting point there at the end as well. It's always, the implementation is always a scary word when you're working in a warehouse, because it's pretty much downtime. It
right.
Kind of indicates. So it's good that you guys are thinking that through on kind of the user end as well, and what is that experience with it initially bringing it in. So it's good that it's a quick install. So we talked a little about the portal, and we kind of talked, I guess, on the inbound side, but I'm curious, on the outbound side as well. So as product is kind of passing through the dock door going out, I mean, is it also being captured in that way, or I guess, can it be captured in that way?
It is. It's in essence captured the exact same way on the outbound side. A lot of times it's also about air proofing, right? Making sure that the right container is getting on the right truck. We also see combinations. One of the things that is also important, it's not in this product release that we're just coming out with now, but we tie our RFID portals and our other RFID products into our RFID middleware, if you will, and that middleware not only is used to bring up the portals quite quickly. We have internet connect so that we can you can, like I said, bring and configure these portals without even being on the docks. You can do it remotely, but we can also manage the enterprise. So as these portals and the docks get lit up, we can manage those across multiple nodes, multiple warehouses, to make sure that all of your portals and readers are online, so we have that management capability in the middleware as well. And then all the algorithms that we've learned over the years that improve those reads to give what I like to call usable location events, right? Really, these are just events that happen. I know that people refer to them as reads, and we're reading these tags, but ultimately what your back-end systems want is, what is that location event? Did the thing that I want, did the container that I cared about, did it make it through that portal? And then did you feed it to me in a way that I can understand it and use it in my workflows? And that's, I think, what we try to do is really make these solutions, these RFID solutions, affordable, but also maintainable, right? So that once they're up, they stay up, and that our customers and users can count on them to really support their workflows and solve their problems.
All right, very interesting, and it's good that you can, I guess, manage them and have them all, working together as well, and be able to see that. So, talking about the kind of the other components as well. I mean, it's not just the dock door one that you guys are releasing, but you also have the wall mount and the tunnel and the table as well. So I'm pretty interested in the tunnel and the table setup. So now how does that work? And I mean, what kind of, I mean, I imagine in some cases the tunnel and the table would be working together, because you have conveyor feeding or to the sorting and packing area, or from the sorting and packing area, you have conveyor now conveying product to your dock door. So I mean, is I guess this portal suite that you guys are coming out with, is this kind of intentionally meant to be able to kind of link together, so you have that full traceability throughout the warehouse, or what is the idea there?
They do link together, but they also, the concept is similar, right? The tunnel is really meant to be over conveyors, right? There's working conveyors in the warehouse, and many times that's used to aggregate products to containers and so on. It's also meant to read products and air proof as well. What we've seen there's some implementations that we've seen that conveyor, as it's reading the packages that are coming down, when they identify a problem, they can bring it over to the table, the work table, which is something where they will look and open the packages to identify what the problem is, and there's a reader there as well, and we can do the air proofing, fix that package, get it back on the conveyor and back into into the process to be shipped, right? So that's one combination. The tables are also used in many cases. There's one use case in which um, people are handling in healthcare specimens as in labs,
Okay.
and as they process them, they're processing them and using them on this table, and the table is RFID enabled, and they can read those different things to make sure things make it from where the specimens are captured and where they're moved to be analyzed, and you can kind of document that workflow seamlessly, and really they're doing their work on their workspace, but the RFID is enabled, to right in their workspace, so they don't have to grab a handheld or a scan or anything. They just do their job, and we capture the data and pass it on to the people that need it.
Very interesting, and definitely very smart as well, because then you kind of eliminate that need for the extra piece of hardware too, because you already have the table there. So why not utilize the table for that capture? So very interesting stuff. It's great to hear how this technology is growing and developing into more reliable, as you're mentioning, and better scans and distance reading as well, and all these different things. And from someone that comes from kind of a inventory accuracy, inventory control background, obviously, traceability is a very exciting thing, as kind of geeky as that might sound. But it's good to hear that this is coming along. So the one question I'm wondering here, before we wrap up, is thinking about this. Obviously, barcodes are such a big part of warehousing and tracking and identifying where things are and making those scans. So I mean, in your opinion, as RFID kind of continues to grow and the technology expands, I mean, at some point, do you think that we're moving away from that barcode kind of scanning to locate things and track things, and really just relying on these RFID trackers?
I mean, that's possible. I mean, I think really it's still going to be workflow and ROI focused, right? I look at, and we in Zebra look at, a barcode scan is still a location event. So like I said, I work in the location group, right? And so to me, a scan is a location driver, a read is, an active RFID tag is. All those things produce these usable location events. I think it's really going to be, about when does the business case, prove out. So, certainly the tags keep getting better and cheaper, and when maybe there's a cross point where that replaces a barcode, but I think the barcode's still around for a while, right? In that location event, I think the key is really being able to take all of those, because a lot of times an individual problem or use case needs multiple technologies to get the job done, right? And that's kind of what we've kind of focused on with our middleware platform. We have different kinds of readers, the portals we're talking about today, but we have these overhead readers that we can locate with as well. And really, we find that a lot of cases, even in the warehouse space, right, where they want to locate things in the staging area with some kind of precision of an XY location, and then verify them when they actually move on to the truck. Technologies have been around to do that for a while, but it really was hard to implement, because they were kind of implemented as different, almost as if they were, completely different, even though they're both passive RFID and, at its core. And what we're really trying to do is make that seamless, so you can put that kind of infrastructure in and have a mixed infrastructure, and then take all of those different location reads and feed them to the back end systems of our customers to solve these problems, because it's usually a multi-technology that's needed to solve the use case.
Very interesting. Yeah. I was curious about that kind of as we're talking here and thinking. Obviously my wheels are spinning, and thinking about like all the different places where we scan a barcode. Now does it maybe move to a capture of RFID instead, and it's more of a less, like you mentioned, the table scenario where you don't have to pick up the hardware. Now the operator, is the picker maybe have a RFID reader on the forklift in the future, and so they just pick up the item and it just automatically moves because the sensor picks it up on the forklift. I don't know. I'm just thinking here about the future, but It's very interesting to see how the technology has grown, and thank you for coming on the show to talk to me about it, and the listeners as well. And obviously, I think these new products just released today, actually, as we're recording this. So very brand new stuff. So happy to be able to learn about it on the release day. So, Matt, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. How can people find out more information about Zebra Technologies?
Well, you can come to our website, at thezebra.com, and like I said, look up these RFID solutions or location solutions, and you'll get guided to the appropriate people. But I certainly appreciate the time to be able to come on today, and I was happy to talk about our RFID portfolio.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so people can easily find it. So, Matt, thank you once again for your time on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.